Hey everyone, this is Andy's free guitar chart videos. Welcome to my YouTube subscribers and Facebook group friends, and anyone who's found this video. Like and subscribe to my channel for Andy's free guitar chart video lessons, and they're free. And there's instructions below the video to access the Facebook group URL put together, where you can view the videos in one video connected up on YouTube. They're in 10-minute segments, sometimes 15, and in parts. And you can also view the charts on Facebook, but not as as good resolution as we have here on the videos when I start zooming in. So today's chart, 432, caged half chord positions, open positions, all 7 modes, modal 7. So as you remember from last time's lesson, we were talking about the 12 cage system, okay, where we're actually pinning it down to a key, to use cages to use in a particular key that's related to the lowest playable note. So with the capo or different tunings, that would be the lowest playable note would change, and there'd be a separate cage in the open position for each one of the keys that we can play. And now we're going back to basically the cage system and the modal system for the purpose of what? I'm going to put me over here for a second, and we're going to zoom in this little box. And this is the modal string shapes: Ionians, root 2, 3, Lydians, 4, 5, 6, Locrians, 7, root 2. And this is where they stack up in P4 tuning. P4 tuning is like the bottom 4 strings of your guitar and the top 2, but not the tuning in between the 4th string and the 2nd string from the 4th string from the bottom, 2nd string from the top. Is a tuning third. Okay, in my my guitar, it would be okay. In your guitar with Mr. Capo on, which would be by the way, I have to use my old guitar here that needs new notes on it because I didn't laminate it and they rubbed right off. The lamination I used just plain mailing tape, which would be superb for cellos because there's no fret height to worry about with cellos. But anyway, I try to use the thinnest laminating possible, so we don't have a problem with the fret height. So this would be where your E tuning is. So the tuning third would be between the G and the B. Okay, that's the tuning third. The rest of them are 4th and 4th. And then, okay. So P4 tuning diagram, why are they in 4ths? Because we never know where, depending on what the bottom string becomes, then we'll count up 4 strings. So we never know where that tuning third is going to be. So this is the P4 pattern. This is the short pattern. These are the string shapes. These are the 5. Now notice it's 5, but they're 6 because it's doubled, just so you can see how they would continue stacking up on one another. Kind of like a game of buck, but it wouldn't get too high until it falls over. The short patterns go to the left, so we see sunken notes occurring after about 5 strings if you're starting on C, but C brings it over because of that tuning third would bring it over. That's why we can get that 7 in the C box. Short string shapes, P4 tuning stack, pattern stack. These are your caged string shapes. These are the bottom strings of the caged cages. Okay, I've played them numerous times. But why then this is the cage circle, okay? So the E string shape starting there would go to the C string shape, would go to the G string shape. As you go around clockwise, it goes in string shape label 5th. Fifth of G is D, fifth of D is A, fifth of A is E, but the fifth of E is C, not B, because we're going to fit it to the cage system. It's pentatonic. Now, the only reason I've included this is because this is the long cages. When we can't access those sunken notes due to the fret nut, we have to play away from the fret nut. So notice it migrates to the right because it's playing away from the fret nut. And it also, we can have it double back if we do a little cutout, but it still doesn't go to the left. It'll just go straight up. These are the modal string shapes. So like root 2, 3 would be root 2, 3, and then on top of that would be 4, 5, 6, and then 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now with that 3, 4, 5, we can either warp up and go 6, 7, 6, 7 root like that. Okay, we're already over 1, so I'm actually starting with 6 from here. So I can't see the note colors. I usually rely on them, especially during a lesson. And then 2, 3, 4. But if you want to cut out on that 3, 4, then we can just go 3, 4, and then we're going to go 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3 again. So 5, 6, 7 would be underneath that root 2, 3. So that's our longs, and we're going to need them to find out. What are we going to find out? We're going to find out what we find out. Just like the song says, the old Beatles songs. Found out what I found out. So we're going to find out what these notes are. Let's just look in the G box, let's say, and you might say, oh, G box, that's easy. Okay, let's look at the root. We got root 3 and 5 in the G box, but it's got a hidden 7 because that's below the fret nut. This is the nut or the capo for all of them. I tried to line it up straight down as good as I could, but I couldn't skewer all of them like a shish kebab, right? So in these charts we take it one box at a time. So this is your modal progression in G. Start G, A minor shape 2 minor, C minor shape 3 minor. Now when you get to that 2 minor shape 3 minor, again we've got 7, 2, okay, and then we should have in C minor, sorry, it's not a G minor shape anymore, so it's 7, 3, 5, 7 right there, but these are sunken, so we can't play them. The 7 would be over here. Notice the C is right next to the G because that's pretty much what it is. So we were in that G box there, right? Or were we in the, what box were we in? We were in that G box. See, it gets a little complicated. Okay, so here's our C-shaped G, which is the fourth of that in that G box. 7, 3, 5, 7. Okay, but that 7's also over here, but that's in the next box. But I've included, this is the long here. Why did I include the long? Because when we're looking at a chord that needs that 7 over there somehow, which isn't that terrific of an example, let's look at, we were in the G box here. There's really only one mode that needs that 7, and it would be this one. Alright, let's zoom out a minute. Okay, hardly any, first of all, in the C box there's no sunken notes, so none of the modes need to be rescaled. Alright, in the G box we only have one sunken note, it's a major 7th, and you can pretty much make all the chords without it. Okay, right here, the third minor in key of C would be 3, 5, 7. So there, you need that 7 to make that third minor right there. Okay, so you can see, even in the G box, that sunken note has to be dealt with in a half chord. So that's why. Hey, we're back. We're talking about chart number 432. It's a very interesting chart. So up here, these are in fifths, so we do have C, A, G, E, and D. We have C doubled, so we can see its relationship between C and G box. Remember, no sharing, but they're right next to each other. So I tried to show that up here. The significance of these boxes are we have the entire diatonic scale there. Here we separate it, we mask out the notes we don't need. So when we have root 3, 5, 7, so the colored notes, the notes with the little paint splash on them, those are the sevenths of each mode. Okay, and so I found it very important to have the diatonic up here, but they're still not linking together. They're linking directly root 2 flat 2, 4, 5 flat 5, but we still need a nice fretboard up here where they're shown just as they'd be on the guitar. But wait a minute, something's difficult up here. What's this? We have our short tripentatonics here. The E box would be here. It's just an extra E box showing there. A box would be there. Okay. So I have the labels up there, and of course, they're no sharing the notes. So these are in fifths. They go in fourths this way. The fourth of E is A. The fourth of A is D. The fourth of D is G. And the fourth of G is C, etc. And the string shaped fourth of C, or the caged fourth of C, is E. Has that play? Get a C shape. Its fourth is going to be a barred E shape. So the fourth of C is E. And similarly, the fifth of the barred E shape is the C shape, going the other way. The reason why I've put the long patterns here, the long string shape labels, we talked about the modals, is because it's going to help us understand what these notes are. So let's say, let's take an easy example. We're looking at the C chord. Okay, we're going to play root 3 and root again, and we have open 3, open 5. Okay, we can leave out that and get the third on, let the third kind of ramble on the bottom, or we can do a robust fifth on the bottom like that. Okay, so if you understand where the fifth comes from in the C shape, which everybody does because that's the easiest chord to learn a couple of the other notes of, then we know where this fifth comes from because it's just a double of that note. But what about other notes that are in between? Let's just look at an easy example. We know the reason. We got root to third there. There's our major third right there. If we look at the long, the ER long pattern, we can count root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7 root. Now we should be looking at the C box. Sorry, we're not looking at the E long. That would be the E box. We'll be looking at the C long. Now look how long this is. Here's your C tripentatonic. You have your C root 5 root 3, 5 root 3 there. You have your E shaped fourth. We just talked about that. Root 4, 6 right there, barred on the fourth. And then the fifth, we have a G shape here. 5, 7, 2. Okay, 5, 7, 2, 5. So that's our G shape fourth. And then we have an extension over here. What's going on here where we have this seventh?